Senator.
Thank you, Madam Senator. Senator Boisvenu, Vice Chair of the Committee. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Madam Minister and Mr. Mendicino. And I thank the Minister for making herself available for this meeting. Last week, we had many officials from the Department of Justice, and the officials, to many of the questions we asked, always said that the Minister would have to answer those questions. And so it's very unusual to study a bill, particularly when it concerns criminal law, when that person does not appear before the committee. So I would like to know why the Minister of Justice did not present herself at committee today. Thank you.
The Minister of Justice wasn't available, and when they asked me to come and speak to you all, I kind of jumped at the opportunity because I'm quite familiar with both the integrity regime and the whole consultation process around our remediation agreement discussions, the submissions by the various stakeholders. I felt myself capable, while not technically, obviously, representing justice, supported by the individuals at the table here to at least offer you some perspectives on our government's position on these matters.
Thank you, Madam Senator. Madam Senator Batters.
Thank you. Minister, did you appear before the House of Commons committee dealing with this particular major portion of the Budget Implementation Act? And if not, which minister appeared there?
I did not, and I apologize. Was it the Finance Minister?
Just give me one moment. Let me see if we can find the answer.
Maybe officers from the Department of Justice would know if their minister appeared. They might have accompanied the minister at that time.
It was the Finance Minister.
Only the Finance Minister? Okay.
Dealing with this particular part?
That's my understanding. Please go ahead if you.
It was before the Finance Committee, and to my knowledge, it was just the Minister of Finance.
Okay. How long did that House of Commons committee take to study this particular part of the Budget Implementation Act?
Again, I can get you that information. I apologize. I don't have it offhand.
Okay. Yes, if you could please provide that to us, and hopefully as soon as possible, because we're dealing with this as a very quick time frame. So, Minister, the fact that your government chose to include this particular, it's a very significant change to the Criminal Code of Canada in an omnibus budget bill. That's attracted criticism from prominent criminal defense lawyer Michael Spratt. And in fact, Mr. Spratt actually recently wrote an article about this very portion, decrying this situation, in which he ended with this, quote, "When Mr. Trudeau was railing against omnibus legislation in the House of Commons, he made a simple wish. Trudeau told the Speaker of the House that he hoped that, quote, future Prime Ministers would not make excessive use of omnibus bills in order to avoid problematic situations." Then Spratt says, quote, "I have the same wish, except that I also wish that current Prime Ministers did the same." So, Minister, given this, why did your government choose to do that with this particular portion?
We've approached corporate wrongdoing writ large as a broader set of policies and decisions that include the criminal law aspect but go beyond into our administrative regime. We believe that the budget is about the economic climate of our country and that corporate wrongdoing has significant implications for the economy, whether it be pensioners, workers, shareholders. The idea being that this is about a broader set of wrongdoing than just criminal wrongdoing, than corporate crime, if you will. So the thinking was that's why we approached the consultations that way last fall. We worked PSPC and Justice together. That's why we consulted stakeholders that have mutual interest in both the integrity regime and in the more criminal side of the spectrum, I guess, if you will. But we intentionally have approached this broader than just criminal code revision, if you will, from the beginning.
But would you say that this allows us and the House of Commons committee, which media reports indicated that portion was potentially only studied for 15 minutes at their committee, and we have had only a compressed time frame to study this massive change to the criminal code here, would you concede that that allows us only a very limited scope in which to conduct significant duties to make sure that this legislation is the best that it can be?
But I absolutely respect and appreciate that perspective. I can simply tell you that the way we've approached this is broader and looking at the economy as a whole and corporate wrongdoing as a spectrum of tools we have at our disposal, from more kind of policy-minded ones to law. And that's how we, since last fall, through the public consultations, through our announcement in the budget, then in our announcement again in March, we've been looking at this, and we've been working with stakeholders and experts in this field nationally, internationally for some time now, and felt that the best approach was a whole of government approach that included policy and legal changes, if you will.
Okay, one further thing, Minister. Your government's made the choice in this particular section to make these new criminal code remediation agreements only available to wealthy corporations, not to individuals, not to unions, not to other public bodies. And why did you make that choice? The Minister, can you answer that, Minister?
I think it's best that
We want to give you the answer. I'm happy to take it if you're willing to have it. I would just say.
Usually prefer it from the Minister, but it's at the cabinet table.
So thank you, Senator, for the question. The eligibility, the primary eligibility for remediation agreements is through a scheduling of designated offenses rather than categorization of big, small, medium corporations. So, things like money laundering, fraud, that kind of prohibitive conduct that goes, as the Minister said, beyond just criminal wrongdoing, is the main way in which the decisions to exercise the discretion to pursue a remediation agreement are made.
Why not individuals?
And I apologize, I mean no disrespect. I thought that you'd get a more detailed answer. But from a public policy point of view, we are looking at corporate wrongdoing. We are at the integrity regime is structured to see whether or not businesses conduct themselves ethically such that they can and should do business with the government of Canada. The kind of the corollary criminal side of it is corporate crime. And putting those two together, the focus has been on the corporations themselves.